Can't hear you, Murph.
Yep. Hello
There you
again,
go.
everyone. This is Ken Kibler with eTruckBiz. Want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're about a minute shy of the top of the hour, and the attendee list is continuing to grow. So please sit tight. We will get going shortly after the top of the hour here. Thank you very much. All right, the attendee list seems to have leveled off. Once again, this is Ken Kibler, Director of Training and Client Support for eTruckBiz. Want to thank everybody for joining us today. We'll cover some of the normal topics as well as a few short other topics today. As always, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A or the chat. And without further ado, I will turn this over to Jeff Walczak. Thank you very much.
As always, we need to make sure that you know that eTruckBiz is not endorsed, sponsored, approved, or otherwise affiliated with FedEx Corporation. We're just calling them like we see them. Volume trends. Okay, last week, there you go. Get some volume back in action. Up 3 almost 4% on the pickup side. That's pretty darn good. Stops are up there too. Excellent. So we should probably see the same thing on the delivery side. Yep, that's good. 3.2%. Packages up. So good. Look at that trend line. That trend line's looking pretty healthy, right? From the beginning of the year.
Yes,
And
kind of like
now, yep, that's good.
grow or die.
That's right. So then, so did we make any money? Did we handle that volume productively? Right? We're gonna have to demonstrate proficiency at FedEx. So did that volume, like I said, volume went up. So the
Dispatches went up.
dispatches, that's not
Ouch.
so good. So lost another chance. Okay.
Yep. So it looks like we've lost about three stops per driver day over the last month.
So we just like to ask the question currently, how many stops per dispatch do you have out there today? How many do you have? Do you know? Do you really know? If not, what's it costing you not to know? Saw what happened there a little bit ago. All right, there's a bunch of news this week. Yes, the rumors are true. We'll be seeing you at the FedEx Forward Service Provider Summit. How about that? October 1st through 4th in Orlando. So make your plans. Yeah, everybody wants to go see Ken. So there you go. There's your chance. Okay, well, if you looked at FedEx's stock here, the stock price here in the last, say, couple days, not doing too bad, up $50 per month. That's pretty good, right? We just said not too bad. Trend is your friend. Is this because of the pending sale of the freight division? I don't know. Some people say it is. Maybe it is. So it's people getting in front of that. Keep in mind that some analysts are calling for 600 bucks plus in a few years. That's pretty good, just saying. And then meanwhile, oops. Oops. Uh-oh. What happened over here? Today, UPS's stock is down 20 bucks. Oh no. What's going on over here? UPS stock dives as profits drop over 30%. Revenue from the company's shipping operations fell just over 1%, the same from this time last year, 21.8 billion, while analysts had expected the revenue to rise. Profits, so the volume hanging in there, maybe dropping a little bit, revenue dropping a little bit. How can that revenue drop like that when they just had a, what, 5-6% rate, general rate increase? Okay. Profits fell by a wider margin as UPS reported a 32% drop in net income. 32%. UPS narrowed its revenue outlook for the full fiscal year, really, projecting revenue of roughly 93 billion compared to a previously projected range of 92 to 94.5 billion. Now keep in mind that's with base rates going up as high as they did. The company also lowered projections for its adjusted operating margin, well, it's too late for that, to roughly 9.4% for the year, below the previous projections of 10.6. CEO Carol Tomei said Tuesday that UPS returned to growth in terms of shipping volume for the first time in 9 quarters, suggesting the normalization from pandemic highs. Hey, it's COVID's fault still. All right. Get all of the traction you can out of that. Anyways, to compete with UPS and shipping rails like FedEx, Tomei said the growth, she's talking about growth, Ken, growth.
Talking about growth?
That's right. Should allow UPS to return to growing its profits in the second half of 2024. Well, okay, that's pretty cool. Could it be that the margins are hurting from the contract they just negotiated? She didn't say that. Nah, nothing to see there. Everything's okay. Don't worry about it. Nope, volume's fine. Everything's great. Stock's down 20 bucks. Profits are down 32%. Don't look at that. Who cares? It's not what you're really seeing. All right, so CSPs have always been able to bid on open CSAs, right? But lately, we've seen a notable uptick in the number of CSA opportunities being presented to current, should be CSPs, not CSAs, current CSPs, right? Used to be, you could just bid on what was out there if you were looking. You could see if you can get in, throw your hat in there, see if you can get something. But now they're turning the tables and they're actually making this presentation to some CSPs out there. Some of you that are on this webinar right now have seen this before, Network 2.0 CSA opportunity. There's a couple different ways they present these. The thing here is these packages or these presentations contain budgeted dispatches, miles, stops, and packages, which is very different from how it used to go. Right? Here's an example. They'll tell you weekly packages, stops, how many dispatches, how many vehicles they think you should have, what the revenue potential is. That's a way different thing. So it's likely that most of you on this webinar, most of you that are watching, will sooner or later be offered an opportunity similar to this, right? If that's going to give you a new CSA or new area. Remember, back little while ago, we made some predictions about how things were gonna go, and so far, so far, looking like we're okay. So it's likely, in fact, being offered new CSAs in new areas is likely enough for you to start thinking about what you want or don't want for your business. It appears FedEx is concerned about newbies. Sorry to any of you newbies that might be on here. It appears FedEx is concerned about newbies taking over what either are or will become complicated operations. Right? Experience, and they think that experienced operators have a better chance at servicing the more complicated operations. So I think maybe we have a poll ready for action. If you guys that are in charge of the poll,
We do.
figure out how to do it. There you go. Can you put that up there?
Yep.
So if you wouldn't mind taking a second and see if you can answer a couple of these questions here. Or is it just one question? One question. Which of the following best describes your current business goals as a FedEx contractor? So those of you who've been around know that we've talked about being a lifestyle business person. I am focused on building a lifestyle business. Or are you interested in expanding and growing a substantial operation? And then it says, I am currently undecided, both or open to both approaches. Right? It's actually time to start thinking about this. Uh-oh, look at that. Tied. Somebody's got to break the tie.
And down the stretch they come.
They're still tied. Wow, look at that. Can everybody see this or not? I don't know.
I think they can only see their answer for right now, but as soon as we end it in a second, we can share the results.
Can I do that or can you do that?
I can do that. We've got about 50% in, so that's good. I'll go ahead and share it. Okay, that should be shared on the screen.
I can see
You
it.
see that, Ken? You can see it.
I see the business goals.
So that's interesting. So here. Focused on building a lifestyle business that supports my personal income lifestyle. 4 of 15 respondents. I'm interested in expanding and growing a substantial transportation business with multiple CSAs. And I'm undecided. I'll tell you what, folks, I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about here. If you're undecided, it's time to start thinking about this because it looks like a lot of, if you're doing halfway decent, it appears that they're just coming to you and saying, hey, do you want, we got this opportunity here or there, wherever it is that something you want to do? Right? That's interesting. All right, so I guess I hit this.
Yeah, there you go.
Back in action. Okay. So if that happens to you, there's a few things to consider, right? It's likely that anything that's you get offered is not going to be in your current terminal. They don't want necessarily to offer, although sometimes that does happen. Typically, though, they're not going to offer you something in the same terminal. So if that's the case, and if not, how do you feel about running an operation remotely? Right? Some of you, that's how you run your operation anyway. Some of you would never even think about running something remotely, but if you're in 2, 3, 5, 7 different terminals, you're going to have to run some things remotely. Being given a CSA is a great way to be handling an operation that has a market value. So if you get a CSA, and if they give it to you for nothing, that's cool because it's got some market value, right? But Do you have access to the capital needed to take over an abandoned CSA? So if you're taking over something that's been abandoned or they terminated somebody or whatnot, it's likely that you'd have to come in and build it all from scratch, which means you have to get trucks, you have to find drivers and the whole shooting match, right? So keep that in mind. Now, it's not always like that, but in a lot of cases it is. One more thing. You have the systems and processes for your biz that could be duplicated anywhere. Can you take what you currently do, however you do it, and can you do it in other locations, right? Other than China, McDonald's makes a Big Mac the same way. That's how it can be McDonald's, because they make a Big Mac, quarter pounder, whatever it is, the same way, unless you go to China. Apparently, China's different. Anyways, when you start running your operation, can you do the same things you're doing in one place and duplicate them someplace else? Right? Are you an eTruckBiz client who does have all these tools, who does have all the tools you need to do this, right? This is where these two programs, these two packages that we've been talking about for a while now are really going to come into play. The Administrative Services Manager program, so you can take that part of your operation and duplicate it someplace else. And now the Optimized Performance program, a couple of things you need. And do you have a way to evaluate an open CSA that tells you what it will take both financially and operationally to make it a success? So if you just get presented with a bunch of numbers, which is what you'll do if you get one of these packets, how do you make sense of that packet? Right. Well, that's great. I got these stops and packages, but how am I going to run it? Can I make some money doing it? And how tough would it be? Well, we got you covered there too. We can help you analyze, and have some of you that are on here have already been through this, but just keep in mind that we've got this, we've got a bunch of ways to help you. That right. And if you want any of that help, all you need to do is email Miss Becca. She can set up something with you to see if you can get some of that help. So we want to try to keep these a little shorter. That's a shorter one that get you thinking about when they come to you with new opportunities, what are you gonna do? So are there any questions or comments there, Ken?
We have a question. It says, with this new approach by FEC, how does this impact my ability to sell my contracted area? By the way, we were just offered an expanded CSA and stood up this past Saturday. You want that one, Jeff?
Well, you can still sell your business. Remember, you have a business that has a contract or maybe even several contracts to do business with FedEx. It's you don't own routes. You have a transportation company. So it's actually, you can still sell it. And that's for the most, it looks like, even though there's still build a ground biz and there's some other things out there. And if there's any newbies on here, I want to make sure we say this. The absolute worst thing you could do as a newbie trying to get into this business is to take over a free area from FedEx. Do not do that. There's a reason it's free.
Drug dealers give samples away for a reason.
Even if you have capital, that you still you're going to waste that capital figuring out what to do, right? Unless you get us or somebody to help you that knows what they're doing. Don't do that. The best way to get in is to find a decent operation in a place that you would like to be or you like to operate and buy in that way. Buy somebody's business that's already exists. That's the best way to do that. Then when you learn the ropes and you learn what's going on, and if FedEx wants to come to you and ask, and if you're doing a good job, they'll come to ask you if you want some other, if you want more. That's the way to do it. Right? So if that's the case, you should be okay with anything you currently have, Mr. Alex.
And I can't stress enough, you've got to do your homework on, if you're an existing contractor and they come to you with a free one, do your homework, because there's some good offers out there. But there's some that are very marginal. There's some that are going to require a lot of startup costs. There's some where you're going to have to go in and completely change the culture of the drivers. I talked to a guy yesterday that he went over to look at a free operation where the CSP was still operating. First thing he noticed was that guy didn't get here till after 9:45. What was the comment of the BC? That's all right. He gets it done. So it didn't matter, never mind that everybody else dispatched at 8:30. So this guy lost over an hour and a half of delivery time, which at 20 stops per hour, that's 30 stops more this guy could have done. Then as he hung around, drivers were getting back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Once again, we've got 3 hours of underutilized assets out there. The other thing he noticed, it was a in-town CSA. Why are we driving cutaways, P500s? How many P1000s do you have? Well, none. Once again, if you're going to have you're going to have to know the numbers, and you're going to have somebody look at those numbers for you. And that's something that eTruckBiz has. And just don't jump into an open CSA without really doing your homework. You wouldn't, there is not, transportation companies get bought and sold all the time. People do their due diligence when they buy and sell transportation companies. You can't always get down to the nitty gritty on the trucks, but look at the numbers, have somebody look at those numbers with you. Because as I said, there's bad free stuff out there. And they're just by that survey, some people are still on the fence whether they want to do that. Some people like their lifestyle business. If you're going to take over call it like a dilapidated CSA, and it's not in your building, it's going to take some work. You got to be prepared that you're willing to do that and you have the team willing to do it. So that's all I have. Jeff, anything else to add?
Oh, that's it. That's it for today.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody for joining us again. We will be back here next Tuesday. It'll kind of be interesting to see what happens with the UPS and the FedEx stock prices this week as they're going in opposite directions. We'll see how that changes for next Tuesday. Without anything else, wish everybody to have a safe and profitable week. Thank you very much for joining us again today. Bye-bye.